5 kills, a pristine chicken dinner on the high-speed meat grinder known as Livik. In a map this small, most players rely on sleek, fast-handling submachine guns or precision assault rifles. But sometimes, you don't want precision. Sometimes, you just want pure, unadulterated rage. You want a weapon that behaves like a depressed, angry teenager, heavy, moody, prone to throwing absolute tantrums, but capable of erasing an entire squad without ever needing to let go of the trigger. This is the M249 Squad Automatic Weapon, or the SAW. In PUBG Mobile, it is a high-capacity shredder that turns vehicles into scrap metal and squads into loot crates. But behind its digital power lies a brutal real-world history. For decades, frontline infantry soldiers worldwide dragged this weapon through mud and sand, openly cursing its name, calling it a heavy, jamming, unreliable piece of junk. This is the story of how a brilliant Belgian design became the US military's most frustrating love-hate relationship, and why it takes a true survivalist to tame its anger. To understand why the M249 exists, we have to look back at the tactical nightmare of the Vietnam War. During intense jungle firefights, US infantry squads found themselves caught in a devastating firepower vacuum. On one hand, standard soldiers carried the M16 rifle, lightweight and precise, but completely incapable of laying down the massive, continuous suppressive fire needed to pin down an enemy squad. On the other hand, the squad's heavy firepower came from the M60 machine gun. The M60 was devastating, but it weighed a massive 23 pounds, required a 2-man crew to operate effectively, and utilized heavy 7.62 NATO ammunition. If a squad was ambushed, they had nothing in between. They desperately needed a true bridge weapon, a fully automatic machine gun that a single individual soldier could carry, but one that could feed from massive ammunition belts to keep the enemy's heads down. The Pentagon put out an emergency call to arms engineers across the globe: design a lightweight squad automatic weapon, or watch infantry tactics fail. The answer didn't come from America. It came from Belgium. In the late 1970s, the legendary firearms designer Ernest Verveer, working for the world-renowned Fabrique Nationale, unveiled a revolutionary weapon called the FN Minimi, short for mini mitrailleuse, or mini machine gun. On paper, the Minimi was an absolute masterpiece of mechanical engineering. Unlike traditional heavy machine guns, the Minimi was scaled down to fire the lightweight 5.56mm NATO round. It operated on a highly reliable gas-actuated, open-bolt system, meaning the bolts stayed back between shots to allow air to cool the barrel and prevent dangerous cook-offs during sustained firing. It was compact, featured a quick-change barrel system that could be swapped in seconds under fire, and could be operated comfortably by a single soldier. Impressed by its design, the United States military officially adopted the weapon in 1984, renaming it the M249 SAW. The golden era of squad firepower was supposed to begin. Instead, the problem started. The US military made one critical, catastrophic modification to the original Belgian design: they demanded a dual-feed system. The Pentagon wanted a machine gun that could primarily pull linked ammunition from a 200-round belt, but if a gunner ran out of belts, they wanted the soldier to be able to shove a standard 30-round M16 magazine directly into a side-mounted mag well. This engineering requirement turned the M249 into a temperamental, depressed monster. The dual-feed system was a mechanical nightmare. The internal gas porting was designed to pull heavy ammunition belts. When a lightweight magazine was inserted, the spring tension was completely mismatched. The weapon would routinely cycle too fast for the magazine spring to keep up, leading to devastating double feeds, failures to extract, and catastrophic jams. If a soldier was forced to use a magazine, the gun would throw a literal tantrum, transforming a 700-round-per-minute machine gun into an incredibly heavy, single-shot paperweight. When the War on Terror kicked off in the early 2000s, the M249 was pushed to its absolute limits in the fine, abrasive sands of Iraq and Afghanistan. And that is where the love-hate relationship completely fractured. Frontline soldiers quickly discovered that the M249 was an incredibly high-maintenance weapon. The open-bolt design meant that the ejection port and feed tray were constantly exposed to the elements. Fine desert dust would mix with the heavy weapon oil, creating a thick, gritty paste inside the receiver that caused the weapon to jam repeatedly during critical firefights. Soldiers complained about the sheer weight of carrying 17 pounds of steel and ammunition through extreme heat, only for the weapon to click instead of bang when they squeezed the trigger. Marine Corps trials openly detailed that older, heavily used M249s were becoming structurally unreliable, leading many specialized units to completely abandon the weapon in favor of lighter, more reliable magazine-fed automatic rifles like the M27 IAR. The SAW was powerful, but it was universally seen as a moody, exhausted platform that required constant babysitting just to function. But when you take this moody, depressed teenager and drop it onto the fast-paced battlegrounds of Livik, all of those real-world maintenance headaches vanish, leaving behind nothing but pure, unmitigated rage. The exact reason the military struggled with it, its heavy weight and massive ammo capacity, is exactly why it dominates the end-game circles of PUBG Mobile. When you dump a full 150-round magazine, you aren't just shooting, you are manipulating the psychological state of your opponents. In a standard gunfight, an enemy counts shots. They wait for the distinct sound of your reload to push your position. But with the M249, that reload window never comes. You can suppress an entire ridge, blow up their vehicle, and wipe the surviving members of their squad before you ever have to hit the reload button. You aren't playing by the rules of standard tactical engagement, you are overwhelming them through absolute, non-stop economic dominance of ammunition. Real soldiers may have hated dragging the M249 through the desert sand, but in the hands of a survivalist who knows how to position around its heavy handling, it becomes the ultimate squad-wiping tool. It is heavy, it is moody, and it has certified anger issues, but when it's firing from the prone position with its bipod deployed, it is the most lethal wood chipper on the map. You don't need a precision scalpel when you can just bring a sledgehammer. The Silverscar Lab doesn't just adapt to the best weapons, we master the most volatile ones. Drop a comment below. Do you respect the M249's 150-round power, or do you leave it in the crate because the reload time takes an absolute eternity? Like, subscribe, and lock into the Empire. Silverscar out.